Oh, I fucking locked my phone.
I was so ready for it.
Take 2.
Take 2. And
What's up? What's happening?
And welcome back to an all-new episode of DMT Reviews, the spoiler-filled review podcast starring Sammy B and Jackie D.
That's right.
And you guys better buckle up because today we got a very special episode. We're not reviewing just one movie or just one show. We're actually reviewing 2 prolific Hollywood directors.
2 of the biggest.
QT and JC.
That's right.
And
we're going to prove today to Sam Butler why Quentin Tarantino is great. He resists this fact.
Oh, yeah, because I just simply think that James Cameron is the superior director.
He said, get this, Joss Whedon's a better director than Quentin Tarantino.
And I'm a better director than Joss Whedon, so what do you say about that?
I don't think Quentin would agree.
What do you think Q's going to do?
QT.
What do you think Q's going to do? He's almost
coming after
60.
you. Dude, he's going on all the podcasts. He's going to come on here and he's going to rip you a new one.
Jack, what do you think Quentin Tarantino would do if you went and just booped him on the nose?
Like, booped him?
If you just boop him?
Who knows? That guy, he could be sick and depraved. He might get a giggle out of it. He may fall to the ground crying. I mean, with Quentin Tarantino, any of those things are possible. Mm-hmm. Any of those things.
Okay.
Yeah.
The thing I find probably the most funny about Quentin Tarantino is when he gets into interviews. Like, I just watched him on Bill Maher recently, and you could tell he is fucking sick of people asking him why he's retiring.
Yeah.
It's like, why would you do that? Why would you retire? It's like, because I want to. Okay, fucko. And they're like, you haven't even like done your best work. I mean, you got so many more movies in you. And he's like, yeah, but most directors start to suck at a certain point.
And he's also like never not stood by this point. It's always been 10 movies.
Yes.
Like, it's always been the plan.
It has been. Like Dr. Dre, until proven otherwise, Compton is his last album.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? Let's just do this.
Welcome to the dance floor, boys.
Nice.
We're in the show.
We are.
We don't need more lo-fi.
Nah, get it out of here.
Get out of here, Kevin Love.
Go sit by your YouTube fireplace that runs for 10 hours.
Yes.
You lo-fi music.
But no, it's really funny sometimes watching him in interviews because he doesn't oftentimes wait for the other person to finish asking their question, and by them like plowing through, he tries to interrupt, and then they plow through to finish asking their question, and you can just see him get agitated. He's like, okay.
Yeah, I feel like if you're like working with him and you're like close and you're doing the things, or like you're interviewing him and it's like a mutual respect thing, he's great and he's awesome and he's prolific. But I can imagine working for him can get really frustrating. I can imagine like that energy. The only reason he's so good is because he has that energy. But I can imagine, because there would be several times on like the Marin or the Rogan podcast where he would like, they would be asking him a question and he would just start answering before they even got to like the subject of the question.
Yeah, like he knew exactly what the question was, and he's like, I got to get a jump on this answer.
And I'm like, what? Just Quentin, take a deep
breathe.
Breath.
Relax.
You can still answer the same way when they finish the sentence in a millisecond.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Like I feel like is the personality that's like, I'm the fucking guy. He has to be.
I don't think he's that.
Not in like an egotistical way.
That's what I was going to say. Is like he doesn't seem very egotistical.
But how could he not, after basically all 9 of his movies have been considered prolific? And he's like, I think Marin said it to him where he's like, yeah, I know who I am. Like, I know there's a reason I get to keep making these movies. Like, I know I'm fucking Quentin Tarantino. And it's not in a way that's like, oh, fuck this guy. It's just, I think that lends itself to, and I'm going to say abrasive and it's the wrong word, but that like kind of overbearing conversationalist, because like he's not being a dick. He's not saying they're stupid or anything. He's just so excited to answer the question that I think in his mind, he's like, why do we need to finish? Let's go.
Yeah, and I mean, he is a very, very smart guy. Like, I think he's
amazing. Yeah,
his IQ is one of the highest in Hollywood. Like, he could be in Mensa if he wanted to be, but no, yeah. So it's like, yeah, he can basically predict the question and he wants to answer. He's very excited to answer it.
He cares. You know? And like he said too, like He's like, yeah, people tell me that I'm a genius about movies all the time. And I'm like, yeah, I am. But that's because that's all I've ever done. You know, I have.
Yeah, this is all that I have
Yeah.
is movies and movie knowledge.
You
If
would
I was put
expect-
anywhere else, and I'm like, I relate so hard to that answer that he just gave.
You
It's
would
like,
expect
that's
a-
all I got
Yeah.
is movie and comedy trivia knowledge.
Yeah.
If I don't get into entertainment, it's all useless.
Yeah, you would hope that like a Mayan historian knows as much information about Mayans as possible. Quentin Tarantino knows as much about movies as possible. And I think the disconnect sometimes for people is like, well, we don't all know about the Mayans, but we all watch movies, right? And like people, again, it's kind of like, I forget who I was listening to that was saying it, but basically every guy thinks that they're funny, they're strong, they're a good driver, and they're good at sex or something like that. And it's
I
like,
am.
yeah, well, exactly.
All of those things,
I
Jack.
mean,
all of them.
I'm better though.
Let's fuck right now. I'll prove it.
Yeah, I don't know. He's one of those guys where he just cares, you know, like he knows what he's doing and he's doing it. And that's why I love his movies. That's why his movies are always really, really great is because of that I don't give a fuck attitude. Like he talked about with Weinstein being like, okay, Reservoir Dogs is a great movie. Okay, it's great. Everybody's going to love this movie if you take out the torture scene.
Yeah.
If you get rid of it, everybody will love this.
Yeah.
It'll be great. And he was like, no.
No, the scene stays.
It stays. And it has to stay.
Yeah,
it has to stay for so many reasons. I mean, the Tim Roth reveal is less meaningful if they don't go that far. The twists and turns, like they really do kind of set what's his name? Michael Madsen up to be Mr. Blonde, to be the guy maybe for the first half of the movie, but you know he's not the guy when he's torturing a cop.
You're not
like
that guy, man.
And when he's enjoying it, and when he's all this and that, and it just like elongates
Talks
it.
into the ear.
Yeah, and it like elongates it to the point where like I forgot Tim Roth. I always forget Tim Roth is in the room.
Oh yeah, no, he is
Until
just
that
in
point.
the corner
Yeah.
watching his brother in arms
Yeah.
get sliced up,
just sliced and diced and torn apart, and
gas dumped on him. Dude, imagine that feeling of the gas going into your
just
ear hole.
burning. Yeah, just the worst. And I mean that actor fucking killed it. And also it plays to the Tim Roth role, like we were talking about. You know how deep undercover he was for how long he let that go on. And you can make the argument that he was unconscious for a lot of it, which is entirely possible, and the screaming will come up. Maybe. But even then, he takes a long time to shoot Michael Madsen. And like you said, he's watching one of his brothers in arms get killed. And it just makes you realize the grand complexity of that movie. You know what I mean? The twists and the turns and why they matter and how much they matter. And it's all because he doesn't give a fuck. Because he's not going to fall into conventions. And so I was talking to one of my clients about it today. She's like, oh yeah, I mean, like I can always call a twist in a movie. And I'm like, I'm sure you can. I'm sure, like we were talking about with Taskmaster in Black Widow. Black Widow dies at the end of Endgame. We called that. We knew it. No, but we knew it was Dreykov's daughter. Like I knew when they said Dreykov's daughter, and then like Taskmaster had been like mentioned or seen recently. Like, oh shit, it's gonna be Dreykov's daughter, and then you kind of forget and you enjoy it, whatever. Tarantino kind of plays into that a little bit, but also he's like, I'm gonna do it my fucking way though. Same with the Gimp scene in Pulp Fiction, another very scene that he loses a lot of people, right? And what makes that whole sequence, what really makes Bruce Willis's whole storyline in that maybe the best in it. Nah, Samuel L. Jackson's is, because his is all about being a bad motherfucker, and he is. He proves there's so much symbolism.
Dude,
with that
I'm
wallet.
so fucking pissed that I lost that.
I know, man.
Fucking
That's a
bad
bummer.
motherfucker wallet.
There's so much symbolism.
Fucking Jurassic World. Thanks for the help, AMC.
Because you think about it, and he's like, and this is another reason I think Tarantino's genius is he's able to do this in ways that aren't corny in any way, but they totally work the way like conventional film metaphor and mise-en-scène is supposed to, with like, say,
Ooh, bringing out the
I
mise-en-scène.
know, and I think I totally used it wrong. But
Mise-en-scène is like the composition.
background,
It's
yeah.
the composition of a
yeah.
shot.
But even then, like the way he sets that whole sequence up with Tim Roth and Samuel L. Jackson, and then Samuel L. Jackson, he's like, I'll give you my money. Give me the wallet, right? Holding on to that aspect of his personality, being a bad motherfucker. Like that wallet doesn't just say that to be cool. It says it for a fucking reason. And Tarantino's really the only person, one, that could think of doing something like that, and two, could get away with it without being like, oh, like a producer would probably be like, no, show the wallet when he's given the monologue at the part, and like that's a part of his character. No, he always has it. The audience doesn't need to know until they need to know, right? We don't have to like set up the dominoes. Tarantino's all about fuck the dominoes. So like Gimp scene and all that, that scene is like the pinnacle worst of the worst of where Marcellus Wallace and Butch, right, can end up.
Yes.
Yeah. And you just don't see it coming. And it's so terrible and so awful. And like we were talking about, it all stems back to Christopher Walken's little monologue about the watch and being stuck in the POW camp. And you can't imagine what POWs go through, right? This is even worse because at least POWs, you kind of have the mutual respect of war. I mean, like, still you're getting tortured horribly and awfully, but like...
Yeah, they're probably not butt fucking.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not, yeah. I mean, that's just like... the worst of humanity in that basement, and he puts these two characters who couldn't be on a further trajectory in that moment in the story together with Butch, who we've learned his entire personality and arc really is about that watch and not leaving somebody behind, and the fact that he goes back for Marcellus. And like Tarantino really does a lot of, we were talking about this, I think he does a lot of happy endings. I think they're just not conventional walk into the sunset happy endings. Like the closest is probably True Romance, which even then in that little sequence,
And he lost an eye.
he lost an eye, and who plays the girl,
Patricia Arquette.
Patricia Arquette even says, she's like, yeah, I think a lot about what if you had died that day, and I probably would have been really sad, but then eventually things probably would have been exactly as they are now. And I'm like, he just adds that level of reality that like makes it a film and not a movie. You know what I mean? I think there's a big difference.
Yeah. And then...
and that's just his work in the 90s. I haven't even gotten to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, so... Okay, so I just want to dive into James Cameron real quick, because by contrast, I feel like James Cameron always has a happy ending except for Titanic, you know? And
Which, how could you have a happy ending
I know,
in Titanic?
but then if you go back and you watch his work from Terminator on, every movie is his jumping off point to make his next movie, all right? So he goes and he makes Terminator 1, all right? And then he gets Aliens. And so... then he does The Abyss. And that was to try out special effects like computer-generated water effects, like alive water going through the corridor, so that he could make the T-1000 in Terminator 2. All right? And then, True Lies, I feel like, is his one outlier, because that's like probably the most grounded of his movies.
You just want to hang out with Arnold.
Yeah, that and Titanic are probably the most based in any sort of reality. Everything else is pure sci-fi. And he also did Abyss so that he could do Titanic.
Yeah.
You know,
that's where I thought you were going.
Yeah,
with
no,
it. Yeah.
but like, because in Abyss it does have like, you know, sentient water things.
Right.
Like I didn't finish it when I watched it the most recent time, but I was watching it through the lens of just like, God, James Cameron just loves himself so much, dude. You're just watching this movie and you're just like, this movie is what got him to make the other movies.
Right.
And then by the time you get to Avatar, you're just like, well, these Marines, he brought them from Aliens, you know, he brought them over from Aliens, you know, and then everything about Avatar, you're just kind of like, all right, this guy just really, really wanted to make this revolutionary 3D technology. You know, it wasn't about the story, it was about the technology. And I feel like that's what's going to be the problem with the next 4 Avatar movies, if we ever get them.
Right.
He's out here fucking around in a submersible, going on the Titanic, more than anybody who ever existed in life.
He already made the movie.
Yes! Yeah. Stop going down there, man! Like, you've done everything.
I mean, I feel like the Titanic I'd be so creepy down there. You know what I mean? Like it's probably so dark. And it's probably so, like, you don't know what the fuck's down there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He probably does now.
Yeah.
He hangs out with giant squids. Do you think James Cameron's best friend is a giant squid?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's the greatest pioneer.
They have like a secret handshake, and the squid does a thing with all its tentacles.
And then it dies in its life cycle, and he gets really sad.
He keeps its beak.
His grief keeps him from completing Avatar 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Sam, how do you feel that squids have beaks?
I mean, it's very strange. I'm more alarmed by the tentacles.
Sure.
And the giant eyeballs.
I like the word beak. Anyway.
Beak.
Yeah.
Beak! Beak! But no, James Cameron, so like I was watching Terminator 2 and dude.
Hasta la vista, baby.
So I was talking to you on the phone while I was looking up the cast list for Avatar 2. And I mean, fucking Vin Diesel's going to be in it. Of
course.
That's going to be outrageous. But then there's just a lot of kids in the cast. And James Cameron, like Joss Whedon, just can't get rid of the kids, man. And I have had the biggest hang up. I'm actually kind of through with it. I'm kind of through with kids having the upper hand in these big set piece movies.
Come on.
You know,
Millie Bobby Brown, dude. Millie Bobby
Stranger
Brown.
Things, exact perfect example. I was bullied into watching that show, and I didn't want to watch it because it's like, I don't want to watch this shit. Like Goonies, I can get behind. I can get behind the Goonies because their adventure is pretty low stakes. It gets more fantastical the deeper they get into it, and they made a giant fucking mutant sloth in the fucking basement.
That is true, yes.
Baby Roof? Hey, you guys! But, like, they find this fucking pirate ship, and then, like, there's a treasure. It's super goofy.
Spoilers.
Yeah. But,
Millie Bobby Brown.
yeah, that shit pissed me off.
What about in Godzilla vs. Kong?
Oh,
Millie
no.
Bobby Brown.
Like, because she played her part perfectly, because all the humans were just jumping off points so the monsters could fight. They did a bang-up job with that. And also, the fact of the matter was, like, the kids didn't really outsmart anybody.
Yeah.
Fucking dipshit Damian Bashir's character just had, like, the hands-down worst security of all time.
It's true. Yeah, it was bad.
Beep, beep, beep. I'm in China, and I just locked these guys out of their own lab.
Millie Bobby
Brown. But yeah, no, so Tarantino, I have always had this so the first Tarantino movie I ever saw.
I'm a bigger Quentin Tarantino fan.
I'm a bigger fan of Django Unchained than you. He's not a bigger fan. No, so Inglourious Bastards was the first Tarantino movie I ever saw. And I was blown away. But also, it wasn't what the advertising was selling.
Right.
Which was that it was kind of like a campy World War II movie with Brad Pitt. And it was like, Brad Pitt's in it. Brad Pitt is in it.
He's in it.
But it's far and away not him as the main character.
No.
It's definitely Shoshana.
Yeah.
Au revoir, Shoshana! And honestly, an argument can be made that Christoph Waltz is the main character.
Yeah, that's a good point. Which, once again, and what I love about
Colonel Hans Landa.
this is something about Tarantino, Coen brothers, Scorsese, David O. Russell, like these like really, really good, unique directors. They get the same talent to work with them all the time.
Yeah.
Like they have their people, and I don't think you get Brad Pitt and DiCaprio to like go out, like do 2, 3, 4 movies for you without, being pretty damn good at what you do. So that's a pretty like obvious one. Like Samuel Jackson has done 5 of the 9 movies, and at least in Kill Bill, and well, I guess True Romance you could technically count. He's like barely in it.
Yeah.
He's Samuel Jackson, and he wasn't not Samuel Jackson when these movies came out.
Yeah.
But that's how much respect Tarantino has and his ability because that's one thing too. I think he is a fluid through and through storyteller through the film medium. You know what I mean? Like he writing, producing, directing, acting.
Oh yeah,
editing.
he knows how the conventions are set up, and he knows how to fuck with them in an interesting way that doesn't. It breaks rules, but it doesn't break the movie. It doesn't alienate audiences the same way like a foreign film might, because you go and watch like a Bollywood movie, their storytelling is way different over there.
Right.
You know, and I mean, like every movie averages like 2 hours and 45 minutes, and the comedies will take a sharp dramatic turn in the third act, you know? Like there's this one movie that I saw, it was called Simba, and it's about this like, super cop, basically. He's like dancing around. And also every Bollywood movie has like numerous dancing and singing montage, like, moments. But it's really funny. Like he's goofing off, kicking people's ass in a very funny, fantastical way. And then it just gets to this point, like in the third act, where it turns so dark that like whoever the crime people are, they beat and raped a girl. She was in the hospital. She dies in the hospital. You see this. You see the family's reaction in ultra slow motion. That would make Zack Snyder very jealous. Like they held on that. And it was just like, geez, this was a dramatic turn. I was laughing a minute ago, and now then he goes and gets revenge, and it's like, man. Whoa, this took a turn.
John Wick.
But
what if Tarantino's 10th movie is John Wick 4?
What if Tarantino's movie is like Namor the Submariner?
Oh, Christ.
Or like the next Transformers movie.
Yeah. Oh no. What if it's great though? Like,
yeah, he comes in, it's Transformers 6 under his belt, and he just like blows everyone's minds. Optimus Prime is like, suck my fucking robo dick, Megatron. You just see a fucking scene where Optimus Prime is just face fucking Megatron.
Yeah. It's I think if anybody could fix it, it's probably him. To the extent that like I think he just understands how to make a movie without betraying the audience. You know what I mean? Like he knows how to make a movie that takes chances without ever making you lose him or be confused by what he's trying to do. For example, Once Upon a Time and Glorious Bastards. Two things that I love about it. He understands what movies are. He understands what you can do with it. He can rewrite history. He can rewrite history in a unique and fun way. And it's not even like I wish that, the Nazis didn't exist, or I wish the Manson family had picked the wrong house. It's just like, what if? Why not? Why not say what if? Like Marvel's starting to do that.
Yeah.
And it's reinvigorating Marvel. And I think that's
what blew my mind about Inglourious Bastards was that they killed Hitler.
Yeah.
I was just like, what? This revisionist history thing. And it's like, yeah, what if?
Yeah.
What if this is what happens? The bastards fucking won.
Yeah.
And
like
they stopped the World War II in that movie theater, early. It was like 1943 or something like that.
And why not do it? You know what I mean? Why the fuck not? Why can't we cathartically watch Hitler die? I can't think of somebody who doesn't want to do that.
Oh my God.
Other than neo-Nazis.
Like he didn't have to show it, but it was ultra satisfying when the Bear Jew and the other guy bust into the booth and they shoot Hitler, and then it just has the scene where it's Donnie Donowitz, the Bear Jew, Eli Roth, just unloading the MP4 into his face, and then it cuts to his face and it's just exploding into chunks and stuff, and you're just like, whoa, but that felt satisfying.
Well, and then again, like what? The Manson family dying in Once Upon a Time, which is interesting because like I watched it recently and I mean, and you talk about this on the podcast. I was trying to pay attention to it. Like Tex, who you're like, you want Tex to die more than anybody because Tex is the face of this thing.
Oh,
Tex is, he's the ringleader. He's the bag of shit. He's the guy, right? Okay, Tex gets curb stomped. You don't really see it. You see Brad Pitt Cliff stomping
And then
his
you just
face.
hear a big old...
Yep. But the women you see get fucked up, right? Mm-hmm. The number of N's he drops in all his movies. You know what I mean? Like, well, obviously not in all of his movies, but I mean, most of his movies. Him and Louis C.K. are the only two people I've ever seen get away with that. You know what I mean? And why does it work for them?
Oh, N-words?
Yeah.
Oh,
N-words.
gotcha.
Yeah, hard ends. And
okay, I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Louis C.K. What ending did Louis C.K. have that was that shocking?
No, yeah. N-words. Throwing those out. And why does it work? Because he's just not afraid. And he's also not going like, he's not taking it too seriously.
Oh, yeah. And
he's
just
not trying
doing
to make
it
a good
for
piece.
the shock value.
Exactly.
He's not doing it for the sake of doing it. He's doing it for the sake of the story, really, more than anything else.
Exactly.
I mean, like, because Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is, next to Jackie Brown, his least violent movie. Jackie Brown's less violent, but still. This movie, it was like, this sort of like slow build. Something's got to go.
Something's got to pop. Yeah.
Something's got to pop, and it does. And then you're just like, yeah, nice.
Yeah.
You know, and he just
My favorite scene maybe in any Tarantino movie is when Rick is screaming at them in the car. Fucking hippies!
fucking hippies.
Get the fuck out of here! You don't belong here! You understand me? Like, just how hard he hammers that home.
Yeah.
And I get it where Rick is in his life and he's super fucked up and all that stuff.
Well,
But he just is so mean to them. And like, if he hadn't been so cruel in that moment, what would have happened? You know what I mean? Like, you just watch that and you're like, he didn't have to go outside. Like, they probably would have like turned around and left or would have gone to Sharon Tate's or whatever. But he just comes in and just lets him. And DiCaprio, man. Like, I always loved DiCaprio. There's never a moment really where I've disliked him in any movie, but like I like him so much in Tarantino movies. Between that and Django, I mean, Jesus, man, he's unbelievable. He's incredible, and Tarantino brings that out of people. You know what I mean? He really does. Brad Pitt, right? Easy actor to say, oh, he just plays himself and everything, right? Which I don't think is true.
I don't think so either.
But I think there's been phases where like, oh, that's just Brad Pitt, right? Tarantino, he's always playing a unique, great character, right? Even if it's true romance.
Arrivederci.
Yeah, and he's, I don't know, I think there's something.
Gorlami.
Like we were talking at the beginning, oh, he's hard to work with. I'm sure, but like, you don't work at the top restaurant and get upset when the chef yells at you because that's how the chef works. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah, you follow the top chef. You do what he says because
you don't go.
I ain't no fucking bitch, chef. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
You say, sorry, chef.
you learn from the chef. Like you pay attention, you pick it up, you learn, you grow, and you just enjoy the process. Especially now knowing there's only one left. Like those people that are going to work on that movie better love the fuck out of that.
It's probably going to be
experience.
the most stacked cast.
Yeah.
He's probably going to be able to pull out all the stops and get
time.
everybody.
Oh, for sure. Like I wouldn't be shocked if like every main actor he's worked with makes an appearance or something.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
Samuel Jackson better be the main character though. I mean,
yeah,
come on.
because it took him until Hateful Eight to be the fucking top billed person in a Tarantino movie.
Right.
And
Even though he's been like, he's the most impactful in Pulp Fiction. He's probably the most impactful in Jackie Brown. Also, Jackie Brown. I mean, Jackie Brown can't be overstated how upsettingly understated that movie is. You know what I mean?
no, I've learned it because I went on this huge Tarantino
Underestimated.
kick a while ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, Jackie Brown, I've never heard of this fucking movie. And I watched it. I mean, I think it's probably one of my favorite of his, like probably top 3. Easy.
It just
I
makes
think
you
it goes
realize,
Django, Once Upon a Time, and then Jackie Brown for me.
because everybody goes, oh, you know, Tarantino's just.
I mean, I'm not skipping over Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs, but those are iconic, of course. But I've seen them so many times that they're basically just living rent free in my brain.
yeah, they're just like a different.
Those
kind of
movies
category.
have made an impact in different ways to me.
Right.
You know.
And like Jackie Brown, like what makes that movie great is anybody that goes, oh, Tarantino, he's just violent and swears a lot. That's all his movies are. You point him to Jackie Brown, you prove him wrong.
Yeah.
Right then and there. And it's not like, it was one of his first. It was his third movie. So like, it's not like he was, you know, he had to learn how to do that. He always can, which makes it so much more impactful when he goes violent or when he goes down those paths. Like, and you know, Michael Keaton, Robert De Niro.
Oh yeah, I forgot Mikey Keats is in that.
Understated but amazing performances.
Yeah.
You know, like
No.
De Niro's so funny in that movie.
I know, right? Like, he's just like, want to fuck? the chick's just like, want to fuck? And he's just like,
Shut up! No, what is it with the bag? He's getting all bad. Then he just shoots
he
her.
just shoots her in the
twice.
parking lot. He just blows her brains out in the parking lot. And you're just kind of like,
Yeah.
whoa. But even that was off camera,
Yeah.
you know?
And of course, you know, Jackie's great, played by
Dude, Pam Grier.
Pam
Like,
Grier.
that movie made me fall in love with Pam Grier. Like, I hadn't seen her in anything before that. And then I think in that movie in particular, of all his female characters, she's like the only one I've ever like fallen in love with as a character, you know?
Yeah.
Like the bride, sure, Beatrix Kiddo.
Uh-huh.
She's a badass, but I mean, like, I don't want to hang out with her. I want to hang out with Jackie Brown.
Yeah. Well, and to Kill Bill's point, because you know, you and I have talked about this. not saying we don't like Kill Bill, but like as far as the Tarantino movies go, like Kill Bill probably gets the least rewatches from me, you know. And not because I don't like it, but like it's just I just like his other stuff so much more, and like that's more my style. But that's the thing that is so great about Kill Bill. When Tarantino says he's gonna make a genre of movie, he makes that genre of movie. Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, crime movies, 2 of the best crime movies ever made.
Yeah.
Jackie Brown, kind of a whodunit type of heisty movie.
Yeah, it's heisty. Yeah.
It's great. And it's like a flight attendant and an arms dealer,
And
and
a
bail
bail bondsman. Yeah.
what's his name? Something Cherry.
Max Cherry.
Max Cherry. Then you've got Kill Bill.
Robert Forster in that. Like that was the
Yeah.
first thing I saw him in, and then he was in Breaking Bad. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, hey, Max Cherry.
Max Cherry. What you doing? What you
Robert
doing?
Forster, R.I.P. He was great.
R.I.P., yeah.
He plays Tim Allen's dad in Last Man Standing. Does a great job in that, playing
nice.
a comedy role. It is really good.
That's awesome. Yeah, R.I.P.
But
like, yeah, Kill Bill, samurai films, which like he proved, more kung fu. Yeah, more kung fu movie. And he proved that he could do it. And again, you can kind of tell like for him, that was probably his biggest passion project. That was probably the one that he was like, I don't know if I can do this, so I'm just going to do it exactly how I think it could be done.
That's the first one where he took genre into it, you know, and I mean, there are certain parts that you just love, like the entire training montage in the part 2, and then David Carradine's Superman monologue at the end, super powerful, and then of course her fighting the crazy 88s,
well, and to
fighting Lucy Liu
to an extent. And I might have accidentally done this, but not to give too much away, but we have a TV pilot we're working on that works in past, present. And I think a lot of that movie influenced, you know, the writing of that more than I could have even realized, because that movie really does do a good job. Like at the beginning of the movie, you find out she killed Lucy Liu, but the movie is kind of about her going to kill Lucy Liu. You know what I mean? At the beginning, when she kills, who's the first girl? Copperhead. She goes and she crosses the thing off, and at the top, there's already a name crossed off, and it's the Lucy Liu character.
I did not notice that. Oh, that's interesting.
So then the movie takes place after the first scene of the movie, which is so interesting and cool and weird. And why did he do that? But it worked. Like when she's in the pussy wagon or whatever the truck is, you're like, why is she driving this? Yeah. What could it be? And then you find out, and it's for this reason that totally makes sense, but was kind of unexpected.
So her in the hospital was after Lucy Liu?
No,
or
that
she
was
just
before.
had the pussy wagon the whole time.
So I think she kills Copperhead, and then we go back to her in the hospital, I believe.
No, it does the flashback to her getting shot at the wedding.
And then I think it's in the hospital, and we kind of learn what happened there, and then she takes
Move your big toe.
Yeah. She takes out the guy, kills him, move the big toe, gets the pussy wagon, and then she goes, gets the plane ticket, flies to Japan, takes care of Lucy Liu. And then the first movie's over. Like, that's the crazy thing. Like, I saw these movies together. Like, I didn't end up seeing one and then waiting a year or however long for the next one. So I can't imagine maybe the dissatisfaction at first of like, there's still 3 more people. What happened to Eye Patch Lady? What happened to Michael Madsen? What happened to fucking Bill? You know? But then Bill's introduction into it and the way that Bill plays things and just like the kind of villain that Bill is, it's brilliant. Like he finds a way to do it in a way that works and is authentic and is surprising, which like people are striving for all the time. But I think the fact that they're striving for it means that they'll never get there. You know?
Yeah.
He just does it.
I can't remember the name of the eye patch lady, but I laughed so hard when Michael Madsen threw the fucking coffee can of chew spit in her face. Dude, that was so gnarly.
Yeah, and then she gouges out the other eye and all the things. But then, you know, you've got Inglourious Basterds, which is kind of its own little experiment. His war movie, really.
Yeah, no, so if I doubt you've seen it. There's a movie that came out starring Clint Eastwood, Don Rickles, Donald Sutherland, and someone else. I can't remember. It's called Kelly's Heroes. And that was what I think, that and probably Dirty Dozen were what influenced Inglourious Bastards the most. And then, of course, French film, because it's mostly a French movie. Like,
Yeah.
French and German.
Yeah.
And, oh, get this. Eli Roth directed the, like, movie within the movie that Daniel Bruhl stars in.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The, like, Nation's Pride or whatever.
because Eli Roth directs quite a bit, right?
Oh yeah,
a lot
he
of zombie
directed
stuff
he
too.
directed both Hostel movies. He directed Cabin Fever. He directed Green Inferno.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and Tarantino produced all of them,
Yeah.
you know, except for Cabin Fever. But Tarantino's like really good buddies with him. And you know what's actually really funny about Eli Roth is that he's hemophobic, so he hates seeing actual blood. Like he gets faint and passes out. But movie blood, he'll just dump buckets. He'll show a special effect of somebody getting their Achilles slashed and trying to walk on that, dude. Hostel is so fucked up, man. Like Jesus, and I've only watched just like a fraction of the movies, in the same way that I watch the scenes from Green Inferno, because I'm like, I can't just sit here and watch the whole movie. It's such a fucked up idea, you know.
No.
Yeah, just that one scene of the guy getting tortured. The guy slashes his Achilles, and then it's just one shot of him taking one step, and then you just see his heel split, and he falls forward, and you're just like, yikes.
What are these torture stays on set like? You know, like we talked about, what was Ving Rhames and Bruce Willis thinking? Did they know that the ball gag was going to go into their mouth that day?
I mean, the amount of drool that Ving Rhames has.
I hate it. But
that's kind of an interesting question. Like, how's a day shooting a trap scene in Saw?
Yeah, like we always talk about, what's it like to shoot a sex scene, which, you know, it's a valid question, and I'm sure it's a weird thing. But yeah, to be like a tortured, like a horrible, terrible sequence, like Arnold Vosloo getting mummified alive in The Mummy. Like, what was that like for him, huh? It must have been the worst day ever, I could imagine.
Yeah, any sort of scene where somebody is under extreme stress and pressure, you just kind of worry, like, how'd that
Especially
day go?
if the actor, like, really is the person to, like, get into it, you know? Like, if Daniel Day-Lewis went through a torture scene, what would that be like for him?
Right.
How into it would he get?
Yeah. So, like, the perfect example, even though it's probably one of the most fucked up Hollywood stories, is Stanley Kubrick on the set of The Shining. He fucking psychologically tortured Shelley Duvall. And that scene where she's backing up the stairs with the baseball bat, and he's just like, Wendy, give me the bat. Give me the bat. So like, bash your fucking brains in. You know, he shot that scene, I don't know, like a record amount of times.
Like 100.
How many takes was the stair scene in?
Because if I'm Shelley Duvall and Jack Nicholson, I'm just like, listen, this is fucked up, and I'm not working this much.
Jack Nicholson almost kicked the shit out of Stanley Kubrick for how he was treating her. He's just like, what the fuck are you doing? We're making a movie, asshole. Like, Jesus.
I gotta go to the Lakers game, okay? I can't be here for this long.
Yeah. 127 takes for that one shot. Two shots, I guess, because it was 2 shots.
Don't need that.
Yeah. And I mean, her performance was phenomenal.
Great.
But it's because she was actually fucking stressed the shit out, man.
It was probably like take, 7 that they ended up using.
She was probably picturing Stanley Kubrick coming at her, just like, get the fuck away from me.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. And like, well, okay, so, and then to round it out, it's like, Django, Hateful Eight, that's your Westerns, which he does a great job with the Westerns. You can really tell how much Tarantino likes Westerns, you know?
Yeah.
Between that and Once Upon a Time, which Once Upon a Time is basically a movie about movies. You know what I mean? Like, that breaks the genres because it's just like, that movie to me is Quentin Tarantino, like with a bow on top, you know?
He and everyone else who said it put it perfectly that it's a love letter to Hollywood.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah.
And like what he does, and like rewriting history and subverting expectations, but like delivering and paying off.
Yeah.
Like things like Django, right? Django is an awesome concept. A slave becomes a bounty hunter and takes on different slave owners and stuff. But that movie, if it isn't handled through a Tarantino lens, I don't think it's ever authentic. I think it's so washed down that it would take away the truth of a story like that, the intensity and like the real, like that is not a subject to be taken lightly, and he doesn't take it lightly, but he also makes it a Western and a hero film.
Yeah.
And like Hateful Eight is 12 Angry Men.
For all the I like the way you die boy scenes in it, you get a Mandingo fight, and that's like the most fucked up scene. The second one I would say is when Calvin Candy sicks the dogs on the guy.
Yeah.
And then, you get the flashbacks with Christoph Waltz when he's about to eat white cake.
Yeah. Or anytime you just see like a row of people in chains.
Yeah.
You know?
I wanted to ask real quick, and dude, the when he takes off the shackles and you see the fucking scars and how his ankles and wrists have been rubbed raw by the shackles. Ugh. Like, he doesn't shy away from it. I mean, the lashes on his back.
That's why it means so much.
Do you know
that's why DiCaprio has to be so terrible. And
you know the story about DiCaprio on set? He was getting really uncomfortable with having to say the N-word, and Sam Jackson took him aside, and he's just like, motherfucker, it's another Tuesday for us. You know?
Jeez.
Like,
he just puts it best,
and,
you know?
And Sam Jackson does such a good job playing that Uncle Tom character, just like totally betraying his own people, basically.
Yeah.
And okay, so you were saying that Once Upon a Time is like him being able to play around with Hollywood stuff, like old time Hollywood. Have you seen Hail Caesar?
I have not, but I need to.
So I would say that's the Coen brothers version of that, because throughout it you get just one scene from different types of movies from the 50s. So it's like Scarlett Johansson's scene is like sort of a musical. It's like water dancing, you know, like you've seen those in like movies where it's like the 12 women in a circle doing choreographed water dancing, synchronizing swimming, and then you get Channing Tatum in like a musical comedy, sailor comedy, and that's shot in black and white. The other one's shot in color, and then George Clooney's in like Hail Caesar, he's playing Caesar. It's like a, ancient, sort of like a Ben-Hur type of movie.
Right.
And they just were just like, let's just make a movie where we get to make a scene of all our favorite kinds of movies,
right.
And in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, he gets to do like a Bruce Lee Kung Fu, like Green Hornet, he gets to do that. He gets to do FBI. He gets to do, like Gunsmoke, like, what's the one from that Clint Eastwood was in? Rawhide, and Rowdy Yates.
Yeah, like the characters that DiCaprio gets to play throughout that.
Yeah, he even got to remake the scene from Great Escape. Basically.
Yeah. Exactly.
And so that was kind of his version, and I think it was executed much better than the Coen brothers one. I do like Hail Caesar, but it does have a point where it just sort of turns into just like, it didn't really stick the landing.
Yeah, I've heard that it kind of fizzles a little bit.
Yeah,
but that's the thing, and that's where like a risk, like doing a one scene disjointed kind of movie like that is the risk. Is Tarantino always bases it in story, right? It's always coming back to story. Like Hateful Eight might be my favorite because Hateful Eight is 12 Angry Men, right? It's in one room.
It's Reservoir Dogs.
It's all about the intrigue, the story, how the characters interact with each other, all, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, sure, but we're always building through the relationship between Rick and Cliff, and not even their relationship, their life in Hollywood, right? They are our vehicles, and Sharon Tate, obviously, but that's more, I think Sharon Tate's arc exists in that movie to build tension. I think Margot Robbie is only in that movie to like, one, kind of get like the Hollywood celebrity perspective and like have that kind of ditzy, fun, living the big, famous life, but also to like build like when's the family going to come and kill her? She's pregnant. They're doing the time thing. And then of course Tarantino does what Tarantino does, and they go to the different house, and then chaos ensues. Because it was always building to that. Because there was always this this tension of the Manson family, which I haven't seen Hail Caesar, and you know me, I love my Coen brothers, but from what I've heard, Hail Caesar doesn't have any sort of backbone like that. Other than, because doesn't Caesar get kidnapped? Yeah,
so Clooney gets kidnapped, and then it's revealed, like, after hanging out with the kidnappers, they're, like, really done-up, well-to-do guys. And, I mean, spoiler alert, they reveal after laying out their entire spiel to him that they're communists. And they basically kind of just about got him sold on becoming a communist with them. And then it takes this big turn because Josh Brolin's trying to find George Clooney the whole movie. And it takes this turn that it reveals that Channing Tatum was a communist the whole time. And they all escape on a submarine in the ocean. And you're just kind of like,
yeah.
okay. All right.
Versus,
that was weird.
You know, these crazy, super, you know, wild cult members who we already have a preconceived notion of coming into the movie. We've already seen they're creepy, they're weird, and they've interacted with Cliff in a way so they're connected and it's authentic. So when they show up to do the killing, it's not like out of nowhere. Like that submarine really sounds out of nowhere. You know what I mean?
It was such a super weird turnaround, and then the reveal that because they were holding him for ransom, they get the money, and that's what they were going to do was take it back to Russia so that they can help fund more infiltration of communism. And yeah, when Channing Tatum gets revealed as being like the commie and everything, and he escapes, one, they lose the money before they get on the submarine. They just drop it in the ocean, and then they're just like, oh, shit. Well, I guess we're out of here. So it kind of felt like they were trying to do that sort of Lebowski-style ending where it just kind of ends on a downbeat. It was like, well, that was all fucking crazy.
Right. But Lebowski works on that front because it's true to the Big Lebowski, you know. Wow, the Big Lebowski's the other guy, but to the dude, right? It's true. That ending is true to who he is. It makes sense based on how he's handled that situation. Him and Walter have handled that situation throughout the movie. That it would probably end like that. You know what I mean?
It was just like the craziest fucking week, and they're just like, I guess we're gonna roll, dude.
Go back to bowling, and Donnie's dead.
Yeah.
So that stinks, but whatever. You know, we'll get over it. And like. That's where they really work. That's where the Coen brothers are at their best. But I think, again, maybe, and I not seeing the movie, I need to, be careful. You know, I don't really know what happens, but like that, again, it just feels like it was so out of nowhere. You were doing this movie about Hollywood and all this different stuff. And I get it. There's a big, Red Scare in Hollywood back in the 50s. But again, Tarantino, I think that based on what you're telling me, Hail Caesar was very much, oh, thank you. Hail Caesar was very much about, okay, we love these movies. And Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was very much about, like, I got this idea that kind of involves the Manson family and Hollywood. And I really love Hollywood. So we're going to, like, double down on that part of it. But it's really about these characters in this reality with this, tension in the background. And again, that's what makes Tarantino great, is he always comes back to that.
Yeah, I think I need to rewatch Hail Caesar because Josh Brolin is definitely like the main character, almost in the sense that like Tommy Lee Jones is the main character of No Country for Old Men, where it's like all this stuff is happening and he's reacting to it.
Right.
And he's this head of a studio trying to find the star of a movie, the most expensive movie they're producing, while also trying to put out other fires. Like they find out Scarlett Johansson's pregnant. And so they're like, well, we got to get her married.
Right.
Because she can't just have a single starlet get pregnant. You know? So it's like, we got to find her a husband.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah.
It's interesting.
And again, I need to watch it.
I'll let you get back to me about it.
Everything I've said about Hail Caesar, take with entire jar of salt. But going back
salt
to
shaker.
Well, I guess, I don't know. The other point I wanted to make was what I've said already, which Hateful Eight, like 12 Angry Men, just like that, and Reservoir Dogs in the same kind of sense where, it's tight, it's in this room, and if you can execute that, and not only do that, make it your longest movie you've ever made, like make a movie, a play. This is why I was telling you, I want him to make plays once he's done. I just think he's an amazing director. He's an amazing just visionary. But what I think he does best is tell unique, creative, risky stories, which we need more of these days.
It reminds me about Hateful Eight. I agree with you fully. But so what happened leading up to the production of that movie was somebody stole Bruce Dern's copy of the script out of his car. And so Tarantino flipped. He's like, fuck it, we're not making the movie. I'm going to just turn it into a book.
Yeah.
And I was just like, God damn. And then he changed his mind. He followed through with filming it. And they were filming up in Telluride. And first of all, that movie alone ate up the entire state's commission, like arts commission, film commission. And because we don't have one really,
know.
you know?
Because we're
And
lame as fuck.
and
when it
it
comes
was
to
just kind of real bullshit because there hasn't been like any film commission since, and it's been like 6 years now. But I also remember when I was in film school, all these people were like clamoring to go be extras in it. I'm like, when I saw the movie, I'm like, where are the extras?
Yeah, there are no extras.
There's no extras in this fucking movie.
I think there's a single extra.
Yeah.
I bet Tarantino heard the calls down at the Colorado Film School. Was just like, oh no, get all this is not at a bar anymore. This is in a cabin.
I guess you could say the extras was everybody at Minnie's Haberdashery, and
Yeah.
all of them were black. So all these white kids running around film school just being like, oh, I'm gonna be in a Tarantino movie. It's like, yeah.
And that's again, like, I don't know, and this might just be me being overly judgmental, but like I feel like Tarantino would never be like that. You know, oh, I'm gonna be in a Tarantino movie. You know, like if he were in that similar thing, he would just be like, oh, what would I do if I were making that kind of movie? And then he'd write it and then he'd try and make it, you know?
Yeah.
And that,
Yeah.
I think that is what separates Tarantino
That's exactly.
so starkly from
What
everybody
sets
else.
him apart? Because I remember so many people that I went to school with that it was just like, I want to be the next Tarantino.
Yes.
I mean, they didn't outright say it, but just based on what they were writing, how they wanted to film stuff, what the subject matter wanted to be about, it was like they wanted to be the next Tarantino. They wanted to be edgy, you know? They wanted to be super... And the thing is like, Tarantino is effortlessly edgy,
Yeah.
you know? Like, he's not going for it in the same way that all the Tarantino clones that came out of the 90s after Pulp Fiction, it was just like,
Yeah.
they're just edgy for the sake of edgy.
He clearly wanted to make really good crime movies. He clearly wanted to make Jackie Brown after he read it. He clearly wanted to make a kung fu movie. He clearly wanted to do westerns. He
World
didn't
War
go,
II.
I'm going to be the next this, right? He didn't go like, I'm going to make the next great western. He's like, you know, I really want to write a western. What would I do for a western? Oh, well, what if it was in the South? What if it was an escaped slave who, fucking killed plantation owners? Fuck, okay, that's okay. How's that happen? And then he goes down that path rather than someone going like, okay, escaped slave who becomes a bounty hunter and kills plantation owners. Okay, cool. How can I reverse engineer that and make my version of it? You know. There's too much of that. You know, I saw, and no offense, but No Sudden Move on HBO. Listen.
Winston!
Wrong one. Welcome to the Dance Floor, boys. You guys know what I'm talking about. Donnie Cheeds, amazing.
Welcome to the dance floor, boys.
Benicio del Toro, very good. Brendan Fraser, all the people that were in it, very, very good. Ray Liotta, yada yada. Wasn't a great movie. It felt like...
Wasn't David Harbour in it too?
Yeah, David Harbour was really good. It had its moments. It had some like interesting moments where it started going a direction and it just never took off. Also, who's the director?
Steven Soderbergh.
Steven Soderbergh. Fisheye lens. Worst idea ever. Terrible. Ruined the movie. I think I am giving that movie too much flack because of that stupid fisheye lens.
And it's, if you see a director do something that annoying throughout the entire movie, Kenneth Branagh and Thor,
Yep.
You're just kind of like, it's distracting. It
Yeah.
pulls you out completely.
I was just
Tarantino-
getting over food poisoning, and I was super high when I watched that movie, and I thought like I needed to go to the hospital because of my vision.
You thought you were just like deliriously
Yeah.
dehydrated.
I was like, this movie looks fucked up. What is wrong with it? What is wrong with
and
it?
it's funny because none of the trailers really look like they're in a fisheye lens.
Of course not.
And
Yeah,
I'm sure
yeah.
that's what the studio was like. We cannot market this
Yeah.
as it is.
It gives me a headache. It gave me a headache.
Yeah.
Like the person in the middle is super tall and I'm like, what is it? We're a fly on the wall. Okay. And then like it took this weird, spoiler, but like it takes this turn from like these guys that get hired to do a job, just like so many other movies, and ends with a commentary about how Ford and the other big four auto companies back then like colluded to get rid of anti-pollution stuff. Like that's what it comes to. And you're just like, this.
So it's like a sloppy Chinatown.
Yeah, it really is. And like again, you just don't need to make it. If you didn't want to make it, you didn't need to make it. If you wanted to make it, you need to make it. Tarantino always wants, and this is why retire at 10. Fuck yeah, do it, QT, go for it, because that means he had a great career. He's Jordan. He went out on top, And yeah, Jordan's like, I always wish I could go for the 7th. But Tarantino's an artist, not a competitor.
Everybody,
it's different.
Everybody is putting the pressure on Tarantino and has the attitude of just like, no, just keep making shit. And he's like, no, I'm going out on top. I'm leaving the room on a big laugh, like the episode of Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Rather than, how I'm like, where it's like, you know, like Tom Brady, for example, like he should have retired by now. But the fact that he hasn't, and he's still a Super Bowl winning caliber quarterback, pretty much the majority of everybody in the NFL, like fandom community, is just like, keep going.
Yeah.
See how far you can take it.
Let's be a part of history.
Yeah, because he's on borrowed time now,
right.
you know? And so Tarantino, he's not on borrowed time. He has all this time in the world, and he's just like, nah, I'm just gonna call it quits after this. Mm-hmm. And I don't know.
Again, competitor and artist.
I'd really love to see him try a sci-fi.
Yeah.
You know, because that's like the one genre he hasn't gotten into. He hasn't really done anything like fanciful.
He loves it. He loves superheroes and sci-fi and stuff like that. Like it's not like he's like, I'm above that, like Scorsese. He's like, oh, I love it, you know?
What if Quentin Tarantino directs a reboot of Power Rangers?
I watch every second of it. And then what if he does Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Dude, that would be cool. Teenage Mutant Ninja Tarantinos.
Oh, God. Just 4 Tarantinos dressed up as turtles living in the sewers, eating pizza. That's all they do. There's no, like, fighting.
Did you see a sign outside that said Dead Ninja Storage?
That's good. So we've...
I buy the gourmet shit. I buy the gourmet pizza because I like the gourmet pizza.
But I'm not here to talk about the fucking pizza. So we talked a lot about Tarantino. Yeah, anything about Cameron you want to go?
Okay, so
we've gone crazy with
okay, so you get that, and so like the thing with James Cameron. All right, so
he's the greatest pioneer.
Yeah, he's the greatest pioneer. No mountain too tall, no ocean too deep. Who's that? James Cameron. James Cameron doesn't do what he does for James Cameron.
Mm-hmm.
James Cameron does what he does because he is James Cameron.
Sure. Okay. I get that.
That's literally the quote from South Park. But no, he, the thing that I noticed, cause you're saying all this stuff is like really like inspired by Tarantino. There's plenty of stuff like, so I watched that fucking ad for James Cameron's masterclass. And the immediate reaction to that was like, finish fucking Avatar, asshole. There were people.
Finish 4 movies.
12 years now.
Yeah.
That people are the biggest fans of the first movie, that you've been making them wait. They're going to get fatigued after a while.
And yet they're still waiting. The Disney ride did help, though. That helped keep it relevant. Disney getting them helped a lot.
Yeah. And, but there was something that I read that it was like, it was like Avatar syndrome or something like that, where there were literally people who had like emotional breakdowns after the first Avatar movie because they could not go live on Pandora. They could not exist in that world that James Cameron created. No, so
it is fine. It's good. I mean, like the world. It's the movie. I haven't seen it in so long that I gotta rewatch.
I gotta rewatch it and actually finish it. I have not finished it a second time all the way through. It is very hard for me to sit and watch all of Avatar.
Yeah,
and it was because like okay, so
2
I remember
hours and 40 minutes or something.
It's up there.
Yeah,
and that's not even the extended cut.
Extended editions.
But so I remember seeing it with my dad. And we were like pretty blown away. It was like the first 3D movie that I ever saw. And actually, no, the first 3D movie I saw.
2 hours and 42 minutes.
There you go. You nailed it.
Man.
No, this wasn't the first 3D movie that I saw. And it was pretty mind blowing. And I remember I bought it for my dad on DVD before I realized that my dad doesn't watch movies. So buying him. Why would you show me Sam Worthington? I love how you zoom in all the way on these people whenever you pull up a picture of them, like fucking Joss Whedon's big ass forehead, you know. But the James Cameron's masterclass thing says like every filmmaker you have to start out as a fan, and that just do what you love, like find out what you like, and then like figure out a way to do it yourself, whatever, you know, basic shit, basic bitch shit.
That's what we're trying to do.
the thing is, it's like I think James Cameron's the biggest fan of himself.
I was gonna say, yeah.
You know, so that's why he keeps putting his own shit back into his own movies. You know, like those giant mech things from Avatar is the fucking loader from Aliens. The Marines in Avatar are the Marines from Aliens. You know, and
You think it's laziness or just, again, like you said, he just loves himself and what he's done so much.
hubris.
Yeah.
I would say hubris. Yeah. Yeah. And then like Titanic was his big passion project.
Sure.
Besides Avatar, because Avatar was just decades in the making. Like he finished writing it before Titanic was started filming. So he was like, I'm going to go make this and I'm going to wait for technology to catch up.
Yeah.
And
Which, like, Aliens and T1 and T2 are my favorite movies of his, like, by far. You know, like, I love those movies.
Yeah.
And those seem to be the ones that he was like, all right, I'm just going to do them because I have to, you know what I mean? And you're like, come on.
Yeah. And like, I will give him credit though. Terminator 2, it should have been the last Terminator movie.
Yes.
Like, cause they stopped Skynet, you know? And then he goes and writes Terminator Dark Fate, which is basically a female copy and paste version of Terminator 2, basically from what I've been able to ascertain.
Yeah.
And like, he wrote it and I'm like, okay, so he wrote this movie to undo his own movie, basically. Because what the conceit is in that is that at the beginning of the movie, it picks up right after Terminator 2. 3 and Salvation and Genesis are retconned at this point.
I forgot Genesis was even a thing.
Dude,
What does Genesis's cover even look like? I can't remember.
it's got white-haired Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, yeah.
And then Jason Clarke plays John Connor, who turns out to be a Terminator. They spoiled that big old plot twist on the poster and in the trailers. I remember watching it with Trevor, actually, once, and then we were both just kind of like, we saw the movie in the trailer. Like, we didn't have to sit down and watch this fucking thing.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah, and it was just sort of like, okay, you guys kind of screwed the pooch on that
I
one.
think Jason Clarke and Jason Segel should do a movie together.
Clark and Siegel.
Clarke and Segel.
Siegel and Clark. Yeah. But
I would watch it. What? You denying this, dude?
yes.
Dude.
And what's her face? Emilia Clarke
Yeah, there we
was
go.
Sarah Connor
right.
in that movie.
Yeah,
And
that's
who
right.
played Kyle Reese? I think it was like Jai Courtney or something.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And but so he goes, and the conceit is that at the beginning of the movie, a Terminator shows up and kills John Connor, just whacks him right out of the gate. And the conceit is that Skynet had already sent other Terminators to other different time periods before they stopped Skynet from existing. So the Terminators were already in those years, just kind of, you know, waiting, showing up.
That's
like
why
they've
you gotta be
already been
careful
there.
with time travel.
Yeah, and then the one that kills John Connor just goes and like starts a family and lives in the woods and shit like that. It's super weird. And then it's all of a sudden like, okay, well, it's not Skynet anymore. It's called something else. And now there's this little girl that Sarah Connor has to protect because she's going to be the John Connor of the future, you know? So it's literally Terminator 2.
Oh my God. This.
And that one, I would say James Cameron was lazy.
Yeah. This the fact that they keep getting Arnold to come back for these, and it's just
I frankly liked Terminator Salvation.
with Christian Bale.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was because it was different. Like that's the thing that I Genesis and Dark Fate don't go back to the thing. Don't. This is the exact opposite of what we were talking about with Tarantino. Don't go back because it worked. Go forward because it can be something new, you know?
Yeah, and then Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines was just kind of bullshit.
The only thing I like about that movie is where he's carrying the coffin and he's got the big one.
Yeah, the minigun.
I don't think it's the
Oh no, the
it's got
smoke
the
of the
drum. It's
yeah.
got the drum clip.
Yeah, yeah.
It's great.
And then, of course, the blooper scene in Terminator 2 was great.
Yeah.
I just love how he shoots that one SWAT guy right in the middle of the back, and that actor played it so like, ah!
And then he takes out the minigun. Do you think James Cameron demonstrated that for that actor on that day? He's like, "Now I need you to die in a very specific way, okay? And it's hyperventilating. It's we're building the tension here, so I need you to do it with me here. You do it better. Yeah, that's it. Is that really how people die, James? Is that beep? Are you sure?
I think my favorite scene is how traumatizing it is when Arnold cuts off the flesh on his arm right in front of his wife and child. It was like, Sarah Connor just gives no fuck. No. You move your glasses, are shining right in my eyes.
Don't get angry at me about it.
Do it.
Don't get mad. I mean,
You are failing!
Hugo. When's Hugo gonna do one of these movies? When's he gonna get involved in Avatar?
Never. I have no clue what Hugo Weaving is gonna do.
Yeah, what's he been up to?
He's gonna be in Matrix 4, I'm assuming.
Scotland Yard.
Princess Avalon, Scotland Yard.
Oh man, you know what I want? I want a spin-off Space Jam: A New Legacy starring Al-G Rhythm fighting Hugo Weaving as Mr. Smith from The Matrix. Let's just remake The Matrix 1, but
Mr.
Al-G Rhythm is
Rhythm.
Neo. Yeah.
Mr. Rhythm.
Like Hugo Weaving, Lawrence Fishburne, all these people, they never have to go back and reshoot it. Don Cheadle just has to go in and play Al-G Rhythm over all of Neo's parts.
That would be interesting to see what they would do with the sequels, especially the third one where fucking Neo is like in a coma the first like half of the movie at a like train station talking to a computer. You know, it's like, dude, I think that's what the pitch meeting was for both of those movies. He gets to the end of what is it, Revolutions, of Matrix Revolutions, and he goes, yeah, so I think that's a pretty good sequel, good couple of sequels to the Matrix. He's like, yeah, but they're absolutely not. like it's like they're the same, but absolutely not.
But absolutely.
But absolutely not. I guess final thoughts on James Cameron is like he I think Joss Whedon was most inspired by him, and like the tropes and everything that Joss Whedon keeps carrying through his movies and everything that keep popping up as very Cameron-esque, such as having to include a fucking family that's in danger or something like that. Or, being quippy during serious shit, you know? I mean, Cameron doesn't really do that much, but I don't know. There's very little to say because it's just like I already said at the top, where it's like he just used every movie as a vehicle to get him to Avatar.
Yeah. I feel like the Tarantinos are the people that like they want to. What am I looking for? Producers want to keep making James Cameron movies. James Cameron movies work.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Well, they're crowd pleasers. Mm-hmm. I mean, Titanic is tied with Return of the King for most Oscar wins ever. Mm-hmm. And that was 11, the highest grossing movie of all time until Avatar. Yeah, 11.
Nice.
Yeah. And I mean, Avatar now is the highest grossing movie of all time. And you know that what pissed me off about that is that it was only re-released in China, and at the end of the day, Disney wins.
Yeah. It doesn't matter if it's Endgame or Avatar.
Disney wins.
James Cameron just insists upon having that title. No, we're not James Cameron haters here, also. I want to be very clear.
No, I love him.
Yeah.
I love both Terminators and Aliens. Pioneer. Aliens is like really one of my all-time favorite movies.
Yeah. And it's that's where like the Tarantino, like you get lucky if you get to work with someone like Tarantino. You get lucky if you get to work with someone like James Cameron, but then producers go, how am I trying to put this? I'm trying to think of like a product. Like, Quentin Tarantino is like a really good, like local soda, right? Like a really good, you get it in the bottle and it's this special thing. And like, you go to this place to try this soda.
James Cameron is Coca-Cola.
He invented Coca-Cola and now they're just running with it. You know what I mean? Which is fine. You know what I mean?
Also, how the fuck? I always thought Titanic was rated R. Mm-hmm. How the fuck did he get full frontal nudity in a PG-13 movie?
That's how.
I have no clue.
He used that beak of his.
I mean, maybe because... But no, they ended up fucking later in the movie, too. After the draw me like one of your French girls scene.
What do you think DiCaprio had more fun with? Titanic or Django?
More fun with?
Yeah.
Oh, probably Django.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, once you get over the fact that you have to pretend that you're a fucking
Horrible racist.
Mississippi slaver,
Yeah.
you know, like once you get over that part, I think he just had some fun with it. Even when he fucking slammed his hand down and slashed his hand open on the glass, he kept playing through it because he was in the scene.
Why hasn't Tarantino worked with Jamie Foxx again? Do you think he likes Jamie?
I mean, sure, I'm pretty sure he does. I mean, Jamie's going to be in Django Zorro. Tarantino's producing the shit out of that one.
Do you think they're on speaking terms?
I mean, what if after Amazing Spider-Man 2 comes out, Quentin Tarantino sees it, he's just like, I'm never going to work with you again.
He calls him. He goes out of his way. Hey, buddy, I saw Amazing Spider-Man 2. Yeah, what'd you think? Oh, we're done. We're done.
This is the last time you will ever hear my voice addressing you.
You did great in Django. Great. I want you to know, before that movie, great. Now, we're done. And then now Jamie Foxx is like, hey, Quentin, guess what? I'm doing it again. But this time, it's going to work.
Yeah.
You think he's going to look like Electro? Like he's going to look like that version? Or you think he's going to have like green and yellow?
And he's going to have the big lightning bolt mask. Yeah.
Get it.
Yeah.
I love
do
it.
Now, I think they'll either go with that look from Amazing Spider-Man 2 or make him look more like he was in the PlayStation game.
Oh, sure.
Because he looked pretty cool in that game, I will say.
I trust him.
It's
going to be Sinister Six, dude.
Huh.
Quentin Tarantino should make the Sinister Six movie.
It looks like they're going to make a Bounty Law show.
With DiCaprio?
It doesn't have him attached, but it has Tarantino attached to direct and produced it.
Well,
it's not a movie.
I don't think anybody else can do it but DiCaprio, right? Unless they like just go with a different character.
Whoa.
But also, I don't think they could ever get DiCaprio to commit to a TV
Tarantino
show.
directed a 2-part episode, or so I guess 2 episodes, of CSI.
I saw that. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Back in 2005.
Oh, you know who should be the main character?
Oh, we didn't even talk about Sin City. He was a special guest director
yeah?
in that. He directed that scene with Clive Owen and Benicio del Toro in the car.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
And
Robert Rodriguez.
And that movie, Robert Rodriguez filmed it and told those stories in the style of Pulp Fiction. Oh, man, I love Sin City. Mm-hmm. Love that movie. But and we didn't talk about From Dusk Till Dawn. Have you seen that?
No, but it's on the list. Yeah,
It's
he
fun.
wrote that one. Right?
Yeah, and he stars in it too. Him and George Clooney play brothers. Couldn't pick
geez.
a more miscasted brother. Oh, he directed an episode of ER also.
Yeah, I like how in his first movie, Reservoir Dogs, he gives himself the opening monologue.
Yeah, talking about Madonna getting fucked.
Now, of course, he's not really in the movie much after that, so you can't really be like, oh, it's hubris. But yeah, he just.
Oh yeah, no, he dies.
Yeah, big time. But yeah,
but I think he did that on purpose to set the tone for all the other actors. That was probably
Sure.
the first scene they actually filmed.
and I mean, like, it's not like a groundbreaking plot monologue, and like Steve Buscemi.
From Dusk Till Dawn is on HBO.
Oh yeah. I have it on my list. I
Gotcha.
just gotta watch it.
But
yeah.
no, that movie is real fun because the entire time you're just kind of like, wow, this is a pretty crazy crime movie. You know, these 2 criminal brothers kidnap this Christian family and they're going down to cross the border, and then they stop at this bar, and then all of a sudden, vampires. And because it's no secret because of how many times he shows women's feet in his movies that he's got a bit of a foot fetish. He gets his big old payoff in that movie, man.
Yeah, does he?
He gets Salma Hayek's foot right in his mouth.
Oh Christ!
And she like pours tequila down it.
God.
And I mean, like, peak Salma Hayek. Like, god
Oh, yeah.
damn.
Oh yeah.
But that movie is fucking wild.
Yeah. Hey, I can't wait to check it out.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and I mean, True Romance kind of blew it out of the
Yeah.
water for me. I was like,
Yeah, what a great first movie to
Yeah.
write. Yeah.
yeah. And then he also got the writing credit for Natural Born Killers, but Oliver Stone came in and fucked it all the way up with his ideas and everything. I mean, like,
Yeah.
it's still a good movie by all accounts. I haven't seen it. I kind of don't want to see it because it's tainted in my mind because that's what Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold loved to watch before they shot up Columbine. So it's just kind of like, yikes.
Yeah.
Don't really like that feeling.
Yeah.
But Robert Downey Jr. is in it. He has a great role from the clips that I've seen.
Talking about RDJ.
RDJ. But True Romance, man, I love it, and the music, that Hans Zimmer score, I love that song.
Mm-hmm. Dook, dook, dook. I can't remember what it is exactly, but the xylophone.
Yeah.
I can't do it. Doot, doot, doot.
The song's called "You're So Cool."
You're so cool, dude.
You know, I kept saying it over and over in my head. You're so cool.
Yeah.
You're so cool. You're so cool. That ending was so fucking great.
Yeah.
Like fucking Chris Penn and Tom Sizemore kill it.
Yeah.
When they,
Yeah.
It was just complete chaos.
Yeah. Chris Penn, right?
Yeah, Chris
Yeah,
Penn.
he's great for before he passed.
Yeah.
And then Michael Rapaport gets out of there.
I thought he'd gotten the crossfire, and I'm just like, hey, man, he's just an actor.
Apparently, a lot of people do not like Michael Rapaport.
Oh, yeah, my Rappaport, dude.
But I like saying Rapaport.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, he got in a real big beef with Kevin Durant and several other people, Barstool Sports in particular, because they made a shirt making fun of him because he was talking shit to them, and that he tried to sue Dave Portnoy, and Dave Portnoy like presented all this stuff, and they laughed Michael Rappaport out of the fucking courtroom.
Yikes.
And then him and Kevin Durant got in a big old fight, and like KD sent him some pretty mean texts.
Oof.
You know, insulting like his wife, calling him the F word, all sorts of stuff.
Oof.
And I like Michael Rappaport, but also I can see why plenty of people don't like him.
Yeah. It's like 50% of the people I either bring them up and nobody, either like they don't know him or they don't really have anything to say. They go, I just don't like that dude. And I'm like, why? I mean, like, I don't dislike him or like him. I'm still like in the phase of learning about him a little bit more. I really know him mostly from friends, but.
I know him mostly from My Name is Earl. He has a great role in that.
Well,
Frankie.
and then his comedian self as well, but.
Yeah, I haven't seen him perform comedy.
Michael
but,
Rapaport.
he was on. Oh, he was really funny. He was on Your Mom's House, and Tom started getting really mad at him, and they even showed it the next week, like a mashup clip. He was getting mad at him because he kept taking off the headphones. He just kept taking off his cans, and he just like, "Hey, put those back on to like go to watch this video." And then the second the video would end, he'd take them off. So it showed. Then the next week, just like a super cut of all the times he took them off and had to put them back on and everything. It was really funny. It was really fucking funny.
Oh, man.
But
Movies.
and Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt, James
great.
Gandolfini.
Mm-hmm.
That whole cast was fucking great.
Gary Oldman. Yep. You get it.
Okay, come on, bitch. Work for me.
Rapaport.
0 stones, 0 crates!
And then he shoots Samuel L. Jackson.
Animals!
What do you mean, everyone?
Everyone!
Oh, Gary.
Gary Oldman. I think that about does it for me.
So yeah, that's what I got.
All right.
I'm glad I got to go down the Tarantino rabbit hole again, though. You know, it's always a fun time.
It's fresh. And
It's inspiring in a lot of ways, you know, and it was like cool to watch it with like Loki, which I would compare. Like it's like the most, and I'm not trying to force this point. I'm just gonna say it's like the Tarantino of Marvel stuff because it broke so many conventions, because it was so unique and tried so much stuff. Like it just kind of felt like, oh, okay, like this is like a mood of television and film that I'm just kind of embracing right now, and I like it. I think it is the craft at its best.
Yes.
And to James Cameron's credit, man, we're two massive sci-fi nerds. I mean, without James Cameron, we don't have a childhood. We
without
don't
James
become the
Cameron, we
people
don't have
are.
any of the big blockbusters we have now.
That's right.
I mean, sure, Spielberg started it with Jaws and then continued it with Jurassic Park and everything, but Cameron's movies, all of them, have been just like big action set pieces, except for Titanic. Except that actually, when the Titanic sinks, it was a big fucking action set piece.
Of course.
You know? He also wrote Rambo First Blood Part 2.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, Christ.
Yeah. Which is probably the funnest of all the Rambo movies.
Sure.
But
He's
definitely,
a fun guy.
but definitely, you watch that movie after you watch First Blood, and you're just like, man, they completely fucked over the point of that first movie. Granted, Rambo was supposed to die in that first movie because that's what happens in the book, and the test audiences really did not care for that.
No.
like he grabs a shotgun and shoots himself in the chest. It's like that's it. The audience was like, "Why would you do that?"
End of movie?
Why would you do that?
Fucking hippies! You don't belong here! Get the fuck out of here!
Get that piece of shit out of here!
He's holding the
holding the
with
pitcher
the
of margarita, and then they drive out. He just takes this big old
He's
slug.
in his fucking robe and slipper. And just, you know, Cliff, everybody loves Cliff, and clearly Tarantino's got like a soft spot for Cliff, but Rick just is so great, that whole movie.
His performance I love so much because he does like the subtle stammering.
Yep. Oh, he's playing, what is it, Missouri or Mississippi, wherever he's from. Like, he does a good job playing that actor that's from somewhere who should have never became famous and then became famous and became, which is a lot of actors.
Well, it's official, old buddy. I'm a has-been.
Has-been. Special buddy. I'm a has-been.
Has-been. I love him.
You're out there sounding like a goddamn baboon.
That scene is so fucking funny. That scene is so great.
I would argue, yeah, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood really is like his first comedy, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it definitely has plenty of laughs in it.
It's a comedy on IMDb, so
I would consider it as a comedy. I mean,
1,000%.
like fucking Brad Pitt smokes an acid-laced cigarette and then kills.
Bang. Bang, bang, bang.
What's your name again? Like,
Something stupider than that.
no, he's like, I'm the devil. He's like, nah, there's something stupider than that. Tex. I remember you.
So great.
And I mean, he just smashes that lady's face on the mantle, on the phone. And then when he sips brandy on that one chick, like the sound effects that he made for
that
it was
actress.
like, whoa.
That actress was amazing. Yeah. Her little monologue in the car and everything. Fuck can't, you know, I can't do it, but she's, yeah. And then when she falls in the pool, what the fuck?
And then his immediate reaction is to get a flamethrower.
All of that's happened, and he's just been sitting in the pool
listening to his radio headphones and everything, and then she just comes crashing out.
He's just like waiting in the pool, and he gets out.
Yeah. God, I love it.
Oh, man.
Love it, love it, love it.
All great, man.
Alrighty, I think that does it for this week's DMT Reviews.
Animals!
We were talking about James Cameron and Tarantino.
Damn it, will you stop pointing that gun at my family?
Oh, man.
Yeah, go ahead, like, rate, review, subscribe. Check out DMT Studios on YouTube. Help us build these numbers. We need more support.
It's true.
Share it.
Crumbling.
Share the load.
The load.
Yeah, and then follow us at DMTPcast on Instagram. I'm SammyB_DMT. He's Silverback Sasquatch 1162. Otherwise, you know what I'm about to say. Take it sleazy. Mayor McCheesy.
See you later, Sam Hamels. Love you guys. Oh yeah, and you're the chili cheese Sam now too.
Oh, go fuck yourself, dude. My hands still stink.